right, everybody. It's Rich Big Daddy Salgado with another story and a few laughs and some catching up here on Big Daddy and Friends. And it's my honor and privilege to have a very close friend of mine and a guy I admire both on the field and off the field. And Long Island's own Brian Baldinger. What's up, Baldy?
Big Daddy, it's good to be with you, man. Yeah, like Massapequa is being joined by New Hyde Park.
Yeah.
South Shore and North Shore getting together here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's funny because I tell the story of the guest that comes on, and, I know it very well, and but I'm going to share you with the rest of the world,
Okay.
So it's and what a lot of people probably don't even know, and of course my family knows, I know, is that not only you but two other brothers have been in the NFL.
Yeah.
That says so much about you guys as a family.
Well, we were the first. I mean, the Watt families now has done it, and the Fullers, but we were the first family. My brother Richard, who's a year younger than me, we came in the same year together, 1982. And then my youngest brother, Gary, he came in 1987. So we came in the league, and we were all playing, all three of us from 87 all the way to 93. For 6 years, we all played together, different teams. My brother, Richard, played with the Giants, and then he went to Kansas City for a long time. And he finished with the New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. And then my brother, Gary, played for most of his career in Buffalo, went to a couple of Super Bowls with the Bills. So it was a real source of pride, Big Daddy. My father played football at the Naval Academy. And, he never – he wanted us to play sports, but he never pushed it on us. We just kind of fell into it. I was always like the all-around, jock. I played every sport. And, it didn't matter what it was, tennis, track, baseball, football, basketball. I played them all. And, my brothers who were younger than me, they kind of followed me. They played all of them too. And then we kind of just, we all fell in love with football. We all developed late. I went to Duke. My two brothers went to Wake Forest. We kind of developed once we got to college. And, once we got into training camp, they were going to have to kick us out. We weren't leaving. We're going to fight somebody every day in order to stay in there.
And that's like kind of my family story, because I was the oldest of three boys.
Yeah.
And we moved from Queens, where there was no football.
Right.
All of a sudden, New Hyde Park, which was everyone slept and ate football. And it was like, I remember being a water boy as a seventh grader just to be a part of it and watch all these guys, win games. And the one thing that always stuck with me was on my block, and we had, you had two families with three boys in each family, and both families sent guys to play college football.
Mm-hmm.
And watching my, I don't know if you remember the Garrett family.
Yeah.
They had their oldest brother, Mike. He was recruited by everybody. And I remember sitting in high school, and I think at the time I was probably in 8th or 9th grade, and Joe Paterno walks in with Greg Buttle. And I still bust Buttle's chops to this day because he came in wearing a fur coat and sunglasses.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
the anti-Joe Paterno.
Yeah. And Joe had him on all the time. And I'm like, man, I hope that could be me one day, where someone's coming, to knock on my door and come get me. And both my brothers, they played football at Hofstra. I went to Maryland. And then the Garretts, one went to Penn State, which was Mike. John was the starting center on the Sugar Bowl team with Donnie McPherson. And the other brother went to UConn. So football was like in our face, whether we wanted it or not. And, my senior year, we won the Rutgers Cup. So so it was a lot of success, a lot of fun, and it led to so many things and built up to so many things, relationships, everything,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's how it was back then. I was probably a better basketball player than football player coming out of high school. We won the Nassau County Championships at Massapequa my senior year. Mm-hmm. We lost the Long Island Championships to North Babylon. But we were running. We played right at the Nassau Coliseum, so we were good. We were really good. I was kind of recruited by smaller schools, But, my dad went to Naval Academy. He wanted me to go to the Naval Academy. And I went down to Rich, and, I gave it 3 days, I gave it.
Oh, really? Is that all? Oh, I didn't even know how long you were there.
Yeah, well, it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't. I mean, I disappointed my father. So I went to Nassau. And, I always joke. I'm in the Nassau Community College Hall of Fame. And I always joke with guys that went there or coached there or whatever. I said, nobody ever goes to Nassau. They just end up there. And there was like a million guys just like me. They went someplace else, didn't work out. They came back to Nassau. But we loved it. I mean, we played a good schedule. We played in North Carolina, Virginia. We played all over the country. Mm-hmm. Those are some legendary bus rides to play these games. We played like a bunch. We beat Penn State JV one year, right over there at Candiog Park in Hicksville. And so,
wow.
and I got a chance to play basketball at Nassau, and really, that was kind of that was a big deal for me. I remember we had this guy on our team. He was a second-year player named Kurt Sohn. He ended up playing with the Jets.
Yeah, wide receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, he played with the Jets for 8 years, but he went to Fordham after Nassau. And one day, I didn't have a car. One day he drove me home after practice, and we were just talking. And I had like a lot of respect for the guy, the way he played and practiced, and just his approach. He had a professional approach to the game. And he told me something that just stuck with me. Like things just stick with you, right, Daddy? Yeah. So he said, Baldy, like I always felt like if you played played high school football, you might as well try to play college football. If you play college football, you might as well try to play pro football. And nobody ever just put it so simplistically to me.
Yeah.
And right there, my whole mindset changed. I said, I'm going to play big-time Division I college football. And I did. I went to Duke. And when I was at Duke, we weren't really very good. We were a basketball school and all that stuff. But I always remember that. I'm like, man, if you play college football, you might as well try to play pro football.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what was my mindset the whole time.
I'll tell you a story about Kurt Sohn. I met Kurt when I was in 11th grade. And my guidance counselor at the time was Joanne Pasquale, Larry's wife.
Okay. So
Larry had taken me to some appearance that Kurt was doing, and Kurt got paid $500 for being there.
Right.
Kurt gave me the money. He did not take it. He goes, I can't take this. And I was like, I couldn't either, because I'm like, I'm just here as, Larry. And Larry was like, hey, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do, And ever since that, and you know what, that was really like such a, I guess, eye opener, and not most guys would do that, but no. He did that, and I was like so taken back, and I'm like, wow, I'm a millionaire now, because $500 in 11th grade is like $1 million, So I always had a lot of respect for him. He was a classy guy. Wasn't the biggest guy, but I'll tell you, he had the heart of a lion. That I know. Yeah. And he's played special teams, and he was
punt returner, special teams. Yeah. You want him on your football team. That you're just a dependable guy.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that you want out there. So so then you leave college and you go to the pros, and the one thing, what is it, 12 years, 13 years?
12 years.
Yeah. As we all joke around, NFL stands for not for long. And, for you to do it at that level for those many years, I mean, it's incredible.
There was a guy you probably remember, played for the Giants, Gary Jeter. He was a defensive end. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember my brother was playing with the Giants. And, I go to, I think we played, I think it was one of those schedules where we might, like during the holiday season, or the Cowboys, we played like on a Saturday. Yeah. And the Giants played like on a Sunday. So I went to the Giants game to watch my brother play. So I meet my brother after the game, and I see Gary Jeter, so I go up there, I said hello to him, and I played against him, So I go, how long have you been playing now? Something like that to Gary. He goes, Baldy, let me tell you, I always believe this. Play as long as you can, and then 2 more years. And that's kind of how that was my approach. Like I played 10 in Dallas and Indianapolis. And then, I had a chance to go to Buffalo, and they cut me, and I thought, okay, maybe it's the 10 years, and then I said, well, I got to play 2 more years. And Philadelphia called, and I got 2 more years. with the Eagles, which turned out to be 2 great years. Ended up staying. I loved it so much. I stayed in Philadelphia. But I mean, I tell you, Daddy, when I came out of Duke, you know, I wanted to play. My brother got drafted in the 10th round by the Giants. I was so disappointed that my younger brother got drafted and I didn't. But the Cowboys, they would sign so many free agents back in the 80s and 70s that they didn't have enough personnel people to go sign the free agent. So they'd send anybody out in the organization. They'd send secretaries. They'd send the trainers out, anybody to go ink a contract, right? So I get this knock on my door. I'm at Duke. I'm getting ready for a final. And there's this guy, Buck Buchanan, who I thought was like Buck Buchanan, you know. He's this silver-haired old guy that's knocking on my door. He's from the Cowboys. I'm like, "You're Buck Buchanan?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm the equipment manager for the Dallas Cowboys." So they sent the equipment manager to sign me. So I go, "Wow, they must really think highly of me." They sent the equipment manager. He turned out to be a great guy.
Got it.
And so I go, "Listen, Buck," I go, "you can stay here. You can do whatever you have to do. But I have to go take an exam. It's a 3-hour exam. I mean, I'd be happy to talk with you afterwards." But he goes, "I tell you what, somebody have to go try to sign at North Carolina State. I'll go there and I'll come back here afterwards." I said, "Fine." So he comes back to my apartment. So he comes in and he's got this standard 3-year deal, you know, $30,000, $32,000, $34,000, and a $500 signing bonus. So I didn't have an agent. I didn't know what, you know, good money was. 30,000 seemed like a good deal to me. But I said, "Listen, I got a car out in the parking lot, but the brakes don't work. I got to get the brakes fixed." I go, $500 can't get the brakes fixed. I need more than $500. So he calls the Cowboys up, not once, but he calls them up twice. And I got my signing bonus, Daddy, up to $1,250. So I got a 3-year deal and $1,250, fixed the brakes on my car. I was able to go to the beach after I graduated for a couple of days with my girlfriend and my friends. So I felt like I got one over on the Cowboys, you know. But so anyways, they signed 100 free agents. You don't know that, right? So you go to camp and they draft 15 guys, and then they sign 100. You got 115 rookies with maybe 6 spots, you know. And so, I mean, to this day, somehow, Daddy, like I survived everything. Was one of the 6 rookies to make that team that year, and ended up playing 6 years with the Cowboys there.
Well, that's, commendable, and, it's outstanding because, it's, are you in the Long Island Hall of Fame for football yet?
No, I didn't know there was one.
Well,
the Nassau Community College Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we gotta make a push for that. I mean,
come on already. Like, let's get this podcast out there, Daddy, into the right hands.
I know. Let's go. Yeah. I mean, I see some guys that I don't even know who they are that are out there. But anyway, so you know what? Now you leave football, and now you left the field, and now you're calling it. So you're with Fox, and you do pro games, you do college games, you're doing radio shows. I mean, you're everywhere.
So what happened was I was it was the 1993 season, and Craig James was starting this broadcast school in Dallas, and it was pretty expensive. It was like $7,000. So I was like, I don't know about that. I thought about, broadcasting. I wasn't really finished with football. But I thought it'd be smart if I started looking at something else,
Yeah.
And so I got my real estate license. I did, a bunch of things while I was playing. So I had this teammate of mine in Indianapolis, Tom Ramsey, and he was really trying to get me to go to this school. He was a quarterback, and he'd been working in the media since he retired as well. So I ended up going. And Craig James got the Magnet Institute out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to come and do all the teaching. And so it turned out at the school, me, Mike Golick was in that class. Merrill Hodge was in that class. Like, there was a lot of guys that were at their end of their careers, and they used that school as a way to kind of start to refine some skills to kind of get them ready. And, Hodge is still at it. Golick is still at it. Yeah. Like, we all kind of see each other, and it all started at that broadcast school. But I knew as soon as I left, and it was a good week. I mean, they really worked as hard for a week. And I knew when I finished the school, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know where the breaks would come, but I knew I had to get started.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I just got started. I mean, going into New York Knicks games with a little microphone and talking to Patrick Ewing and Derek, you know, a bunch of guys up there going to the Sixer games and doing the same thing. I mean, I just started doing it, worked at a local radio station and, you know, and just kind of got started.
Now you have a class, right? Don't you teach a class where guys come in and
I've been teaching the broadcast boot camp for the NFL.
Yeah.
For like the last 15 years, you know, Nate Burleson is a guy that came to our school and, you know, I mean, there's a bunch of guys that have come through there and done really well. You know, I teach a writing class for the NFL, and then I worked for a communications company, and we used to teach on-camera communications to corporations, and we taught some athletes as well. Yeah. But we did that, and I think by teaching the skills of broadcasting, you actually learn the skills and reinforce the skills yourself while you do it.
So this is our make fun of somebody segment right now, being that I didn't go to school. I was just kind of handed to our mutual friend, Brian Kilmeade.
Yeah.
And, here you go. All of a sudden, I got a mic in my face and I'm talking to people, interviewing, and everybody's going, Big Daddy, what are you doing with a mic? And I'm like, I'm here to interview you. Yeah. And it's been a fun ride with all that. And, and Brian, I look up to because he's been so helpful and like you say, you're the only one that gets him. So, well,
I tell you, Brian lives in Massapequa.
Yeah.
From Massapequa, he's a great soccer player for the high school, and he lives literally like his daughters. Best friends with my brother's daughters. He lives kitty corner from my brother in Massapequa. Yeah. So they've been neighbors for the better part of 20 plus years. I remember this. I was playing in Dallas, and we used to train. Our summer camp was in Thousand Oaks, and Brian was out there like worked for Prime Sports or something before he started at Fox. And he got me coming off the practice field one day about what it was like playing for America's team. And, I knew who Brian was, but I really didn't know Prime and whatever the interview I was doing, where it went. And, my parents were living out in California at the time. And my mom calls me up that night. She goes, I just saw your interview with Brian Kilmeade. I didn't know he's from Massapequa. That was really good. And it was really the first time my mother really ever saw me talking on TV.
Yeah. And
I always thought like she got such a kick out of it, and then she got such a kick out of watching all of us play that I really wanted to stay in the media just really so my mom could still see me on TV, and so she still gets a kick. She just watched me today on NFL Network, do a segment. So like she still gets a kick out of it, and it's like, my mom's always been a sports fan her whole life, still is. And grew up with it herself in Pittsburgh, and my dad was. So it's been a great way for them to kind of still stay in touch and see me on a day-to-day basis.
So, one of the things that I give you a lot of credit for, and I know some other people do, is that you created your Baldy breakdowns. And I think that if I was going to take 100 coaches and put them in a room, I would tell each one of those guys to be watching your show, whether it was daily, weekly, monthly, as many times as you have to watch it, because you learn the game from someone that's played the game. Yeah. And also you give a perspective that most people can't give because they've never done it. So that Baldy breakdown thing that you have going on, as I call it, is probably one of the best things that ever happened to football and to young coaches.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Daddy. It kind of just, something happened, a couple of years ago, and I just felt like, I used to do this show in LA. It was crazy. I used to do this show called The Aftermath. Me, Daniel Jeremiah.
Yeah, I remember.
But we used to do it, but we would start filming at noon. So they wanted like all these tapes for me to get these. I know how to edit and all this stuff. So they wanted all this film for the show. So I would go into the film room in LA. I had a film room out there at NFL Network, Daddy. And I'd get in there at 4:00 in the morning after working, doing a game the day before. So I literally no sleep, but the games were there. So I'd start watching it. And Daniel Jeremiah, who lived in Temecula, which was like an hour away, but with traffic, it'd be 3 hours away. Yeah. So he would leave his house early to beat the traffic. And we'd sit in there and we'd watch these games. And then we did the show together, so we knew what we were all watching. But, we'd sit there and we go, and we talked the plays out loud. Why a play worked, didn't work, should have worked, a great effort play, whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just felt like the stuff that we were saying in that room is the stuff that, what we say on the air was good, but what we said in the room was better because you could really just talk it out. There was no, with TV, there's a time element. You got to be in, you got to be quick, got to be perfect. But if you just do a Baldy's breakdown, I've got 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever I need in order to explain something. And the thing that I've always said is that I keep learning the game, Daddy. You're best friends with, with a lot of the guys, Michael Strahan, you hear the game through different people, but I still stay in touch with the game. I do film sessions for the NFL and sit down with the great players in a film room and let them explain the game to us. So, I'm at games every weekend, college and the NFL, and I always hear a new phrase, a new way of doing things, new part of strategy that the game keeps evolving. And I work that in when I hear something new.
Yeah.
I remember Darrelle Revis telling me one thing about playing quarterback one day. And it's one of those things I never forgot. And I couldn't wait to show it, like in a Baldy's breakdown. And so I think people, I kind of understand network television sometimes.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think fans just want football. If we just gave them football, instead of all this other stuff, they'd be entertained because it's an entertaining game. And the more they learn, the more they want to learn. Yeah. And I felt like Baldy's breakdown was a missing piece between what was explained on TV in a short period of time and what was said after a game in an interview. And I'm just trying to fill in the blanks.
Well, I think you've done a great job with that. You bring on some great guests and you basically sit them down and they break it down for you. And no one's doing that. Everyone copies everybody, but you got your own thing going on. So I think you need to get that patented and then, best bidder, come get me, because it's like coaching that's being filmed if you think about it.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. I remember I'd never met Minkah Fitzpatrick before.
Yeah.
And he was, obviously he was traded from the Dolphins to the Steelers last year. And he's probably the predominant free safety in football right now. And, he's from Jersey City guy.
Yeah.
And, just really a sharp guy, And he sat down in film sessions with us last year. And, he was traded on a Tuesday and he started on a Sunday. And I'm like, take me back to that week. What was that like? How do you learn the playbook in 5 days? This is the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive playbook. There must be a million calls. And so he just walked me through playing free safety and some of the things that never change no matter what team you're on and what the defense is. And he just had a really elegant way of explaining the game. And the game became a lot clearer to me after sitting down for an hour and a half with Minkah Fitzpatrick. And that's just one example, but really it could be anybody. I mean, Devontae Adams, Zadarius Smith, Carson Wentz. I've sat down with 55 different players now and coaches in the league. And I think it's a real show now. And it's something, COVID is an issue right now about how we're going to do this year. But I think it's here to stay. And I think fans really, really love it.
So, all right, let's get a Baldy breakdown. Ready?
Okay.
Give me a breakdown on Tua versus Joe Burrow versus Justin Herbert.
Okay. So the three quarterbacks that came out, obviously, the difference between the three immediately is that Tua is a left-hander. Yeah. We haven't had a lot of left-handed quarterbacks. Yeah. Mike Vick, Boomer Esiason, Steve Young. If I said them all, Daddy, there's only been a handful.
Gordon, I think, is the only other one I know.
There we go. See,
yeah, that's it.
So that's part of it. The thing that when you watch Joe Burrow, and it's unfortunate what happened because he was having a fantastic season, and he's the real deal. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting about Joe Burrow was he's Mr. Ohio, okay, in basketball and football in Athens, Ohio. He goes to Ohio State and doesn't win the job. He gets humbled early, okay? Doesn't always happen to guys that are 5-star recruits.
Yeah.
But he gets humbled and he goes to LSU. His first year at LSU, he's okay. They're 8-5. He's okay. They don't win the big games against Alabama, et cetera. But they bring in Joe Brady the next year from the Saints.
Yeah.
And Joe Brady realizes within days, the strength of Joe Burrow is how fast he can go through a progression. And so what he did at LSU, now they had great talent, true. But what he did with Joe was, let's spread the field out. Let's give him 5 options every play and let Joe figure out where's the best option. And that's what they did in Cincinnati. And that's why he really knows what he's looking at and where to go with the ball. Justin Herbert, it's interesting. His first start was against the Chiefs week 2. Yeah. And that's the game that Tyrod Taylor, I'm doing the game for national radio, Daddy. Mm-hmm. So we're in the booth, the national anthem has just played. They're getting ready. They're getting ready for the national anthem, and then they're going to kick it off. And I see Tyrod Taylor go into the locker room. So I thought, he must be, he had a problem with his ribs. So I thought, he must be, getting his rib protector adjusted or something. Yeah. But he doesn't come out, and Justin Herbert starts the game, and he never comes out. And we didn't know that his lung got punctured. So Justin Herbert gets thrown in there right away and takes the Chargers right down the field and scores against the Chiefs on the opening drive. And he looks like he's been doing it his whole life.
Yeah.
And it took 2 59-yard field goals by the field goal kicker of the Chiefs to beat him that day in overtime. And I said, this guy's like as close to a natural as you can get. I mean, deep ball, athletic, run the ball, find Keenan Allen anywhere on the field. He could do it during every game. And then, Tua, he's the one that had to sit. I did his first game against the Jets when he came in mop-up duty and completed a couple passes. And you can just see, like, mechanically, he's just really sound. Ball mechanics, ball fakes, following through, where to step up in the pocket, he's just been really well coached. And he's a really tough kid, and he's a great athlete.
Well, my brother Jimmy, who is up in Buffalo, they just played Justin Herbert, yep. And he said, he goes, man, that guy is talented, and it's tough for him because Tyrod Taylor's there, and my brother and him were very close. My brother used to, when I first met Tyrod, I met him down in Florida, and I went up to him. He didn't know who I was, and I said, hey, do you know this guy? And I showed him a picture of my brother. He's like, yeah, how do you know him? I'm like, that guy's a jerk. And he's like, no. I go, he's my brother. I go, he's my baby brother. And he started laughing. So my brother and him are very close, and they saw each other this weekend, obviously. And my brother misses him a lot, and he's a great guy. So now here's another question that came up. Do you think the Browns are winning because of Baker Mayfield or despite Baker Mayfield? How's that?
Well, I'm going to see Baker this weekend. I'm going to Tennessee. I'm doing the Cleveland, Tennessee game. Ooh. 2, 8-3 teams. Yeah, it's a real, separation game.
Yeah.
You can't hide your quarterback in this league. They have a great running game, with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think they have the best offensive line in football. Baker's a benefactor of all of that. They lost their most explosive player in Odell Beckham Jr., which was really unfortunate because they had a lot in for him. But Baker's there's going to be 5 plays in this game, 5 throws he's going to have to make in this game for the Browns to be able to win the game. And I'm a big fan of Baker Mayfield. I was around him. I do Big 12 games on Saturday. I was around him at Texas Tech and at Oklahoma. Yeah. I was a big fan of him going number 1, in the draft. He has struggled a little bit at times. He missed some throws last week. He had a great rookie season, fantastic rookie season, set an NFL record, 27 touchdown passes. But he's going to have to do more. Look, 8-3 is a nice record. But if the Browns want to get to the postseason and win the postseason, they're going to need more from Baker.
Yeah.
They're not winning despite Baker. Baker's a part of their winning. But he has to play better, and he's going to have to play bigger in bigger games coming up. And that's the next test for him.
Yeah, Tennessee, that atmosphere, it's a shame that there won't be one, but, imagine you could be 80, 90,000 people there. Yeah. That would be like a playoff game, especially with those.
Oh, fans. Broadway would be cooking.
Yeah.
I know that.
The old Opera House would be running hard. But, and then what we like to do here on the show is we like to always bring in a funny food segment. Obviously, everyone looks at me as, Big Daddy, food, blah, blah, blah. But what a lot of people, I've been explaining to a lot of people, believe it or not, I'm down. I used to be 4X. I'm now a 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've dropped 60 something pounds doing cardio every day and, dieting and whatnot. Believe it. No Umberto's in the, I don't have a three times a week Umberto stop anymore. Now it's like a once a month.
Yeah.
If that. And sometimes I even go down to your neck of the woods. I go to the one that we were at in Massapequa.
Yep.
Just to
Park Boulevard.
Yeah, make it difficult to want to go, and when I go, I just reward myself enough to get a taste, so to speak. But listen, I'm so excited that you came on with me, and it's great, and to have you on, it's an honor and a privilege. And yes, I'm very humbled, and and look, we've done a lot together. I mean,
we have.
I have to say, for 1 minute there, I'm dressing you, and then you're coming to my football camp, and I look forward to doing these things even as we go along further on. Hopefully, once everything gets back to normal, we'll be able to get.
Well, I got an awful lot of compliments, Daddy, on our team Saks and Saks Fifth Avenue suits that I've worn for the last 4 years. From players down on the field, from people at the network, from people watching the network. I mean, that was one of the great deals of all time.
And the funniest thing is, as happy as I was to get that deal done, it also led to everyone and their mother wanting to jump on board with us.
I saw that.
Yeah, you'd get a, hey, Daddy, how come?
Hook me up.
Hook me up, man. Why can't I get hooked up? And I'm like, well, listen, I don't own the company. I gave names, and those are the ones I'm going with. So, but yeah, that was, Bill Wynn and Tom Ott, and we can't say enough thank yous to them.
No.
Hopefully, they got this retail czar thing going on. We join that thing, and we get that thing going, because that's the way retail's heading now. Everybody's shopping online instead of, we go in and we get food. And we look at.
Biggest online shopping day ever was Thanksgiving. Black Friday this year.
Yeah.
Most money ever generated. So it's here to stay. So we all have to adjust.
Yeah, it's now for that. Exactly. We have to adjust, and thank God our suits have suits, because we definitely got plenty of them. So it's, it's.
I got a good rack in the closet, Daddy.
Yeah, that's the same thing with me too. I'm like, the dry cleaner hasn't seen me, so I have no dry cleaning. You still do, but look, Iowa football. Everybody gives me, why are you wearing that? Sweatsuit, because one, it's what it is. It's what it is. So yeah exactly. Exactly. So, but hey, let me say, Brian, thanks for coming on, and
you got it, Rich.
Good luck this weekend down in Tennessee. If you see my boy's jersey back there,
I seen Neil O'Donnell's jersey back there. I saw you guys just work together somewhere.
Yeah. So you might run into him down there. So say hello.
I have seen him at the stadium before. Rich. I don't know if he's still going game days or not. Like, I know he lives in Nashville.
Yeah, he's well, you know what? He's the field turf king now, so that field might be his name on it. Who knows?
Okay.
Every time I talk to him, he's, he did the University of Maryland. He's done this one. I try to get him to school here.
I've been to the O'Donnell household back in the day.
Yeah.
So I know how all those. I don't think they still roll the same way.
Yeah.
Those boys like to have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. So
Madison, New Jersey, right
down the street from what was that? Dean, I think. I forget what college was right in his backyard. The Giants were actually practicing there for a while.
Yeah.
Fairleigh Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson University.
That used to be right in his backyard. So, but anyway, until next time on Big Daddy and Friends, Baldy, I'll be coming back at you, I'm sure. And we'd love to have you back on, and continued success, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Big Dad. Appreciate it. I know we'll see each other, down the road here pretty soon.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we can get through this whole virus season.
No, I know. And happy holidays to you and the family too.
Yeah. Thanks, Rich.
All right, you got it, Baldy. Thank you so much.